Now this is a political earthquake in Connecticut. But the goal is to shake things up in Washington, D.C., and we're just getting started.
The process is all about the people. And tonight, the people have spoken. And they've made that clear. They made it clear what their decision is.
First on Fox 61, a generational change in Connecticut politics. Former Hartford Mayor Luke Bronin defeats Representative John Larson for the Democratic nomination to represent Connecticut's 1st district. More reaction ahead.
I look forward to carrying this battle into the fall with each and every one of you, Democrats in Connecticut, what we stand for.
Hard fights are hard, but they're not impossible. And when you begin to believe that they're impossible, that's when you lose.
Governor Ned Lamont defeats Representative Josh Elliott and secures the Democratic nomination in his quest for a 3rd term as Connecticut's governor.
We have live team coverage for you all morning long into those key races. The Fox 61 Morning News starts right now. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. It is a busy one here at Fox 61. We're glad you're with us, America Arias.
And I'm Symphony Privet. Hope you're having a good start to your day. Let's get you caught up with what's happening outside as we say good morning to meteorologist Rachel Piscatelli. We have a nice sunrise in the works this morning.
Yeah, definitely a nice start to our morning here. No complaints as we look to a warm start to our morning, but not as humid. And that's going to be the case throughout the day today with lots of sunshine. Temperature 60s across the state at 61. In Torrington, 70 though in New Haven, 69 in Bridgeport, 63 in Willimantic with humidity. That has a 5 in front of the number, so that's certainly some good news. We're going between refreshing to comfortable, so in spots, so that's certainly nice to see. So it's going to be comfortable throughout the day today, although we'll have some numbers building into the low to mid 80s this afternoon under lots of sunshine. Yesterday afternoon, we did have some filtered sun because of the wildfire smoke from the Pacific Northwest wildfires. And while there may be a thin layer today, it shouldn't be a huge issue. I think it may turn even a little bit brighter today than yesterday afternoon. So a mostly sunny sky. Again, those numbers moving into the low to mid 80s this afternoon. And then into the evening, we're likely going to see some showers develop after about 8 o'clock, mainly in western Connecticut first. And then eventually we'll see some spotty shower activity into the overnight hours, maybe some brief downpours too. It may linger into tomorrow morning, but it doesn't look all that likely. Into tomorrow afternoon, we will see a mix of sun and clouds as temperatures move into the mid 80s. Then that brings some much needed changes on the way. A mostly sunny day Friday brings numbers down into the 60s in the morning, mid to low 80s in the afternoon. We'll talk about your full weekend forecast coming up. Symphony.
All right, thanks, Rachel. Let's get you up to speed with how the morning commute is shaping up so far in the 6 o'clock hour. Taking a quick look at our Hartford drive times. No major delays to report in and around the capital city this morning. If you're heading eastbound on 84 from New Britain Ave to the Hartford Tunnel, that is a quick commute of 7 minutes. And if you're coming in from East Hartford to downtown, you should get to that area in about 5 minutes. Let's take a look at how things are shaping up in New Haven this morning. Volume not too bad at this point. Quick look at your drive times here. If you're heading on 95 south from Branford to New Haven, that is a smooth commute of 6 minutes. And once you hop on 95 from New Haven to Bridgeport, you should get to that area in just over 20 minutes. We've got another update for you coming up.
A major political upset in the race for the Democratic nomination for Connecticut's 1st congressional race.
Yeah, former Hartford Mayor Luke Bronin defeats 14-term Congressman John Larson. Bronin won with 54% of the vote. He defeated Congressman Larson in nearly every town in the 1st district.
The only 2 towns that Larson won were Heartland and his hometown of East Hartford. Meantime, in Hartford, Bronin outpaced Larson by nearly 2,000 votes, and that's where we find Fox 61's Erin Coogan. She's joining us live with reaction from both sides. A very significant win here. Erin, good morning.
Yeah, hey, good morning. Well, this was definitely the race. So many eyes were on last night. Change versus experience, the forefront of both of these campaigns. And after 14 terms under Congressman John Larson, the voices were clear that they wanted a fresh face headed to Washington, namely in Luke Bronin. And again, why this was so significant, namely being the sole fact that for 3 decades, incumbent John Larson remained mostly uncontested for the Democratic nomination. That is, until Bronin came in, earned the party endorsement, and became the first in modern-day Connecticut history to win that primary. The race was called just after 10 p.m. with Bronin securing 53% of votes over Larson's 33%. Candidates Rep. Jillian Gilchrist and Hartford Board of Education member Ruth Fortune also tallied a combined 14% of the vote. And while it was all smiles at the Bronin watch party last night, a more solemn scene at Larson's party. His concession call made to Bronin just before 11 p.m. And while ending up on opposite sides of the victory, both Bronin and Larson agree the job to serve the nearly 700,000 people within the 1st Congressional District must go on.
We are at a moment of crisis in our country, a moment of enormous challenge and change. The economic gains that are making a few Americans wealthy beyond all imagining are leaving too many Americans out.
Disappointed, no question about it. But far from disheartened. We have responsibility and a job to do, and we've got to come together as people, as a Democratic Party, and fight for what's right for the American people.
As for what the Bronin win means policy-wise, his campaign rooted in promises to continue to defend 1st District constituents from contested policies from President Donald Trump, to bring down everyday costs and abolish federal immigration and customs enforcement. Now, Bronin will now take on the Republican nominee in Dr. Amy Chai in November, but the district is overwhelmingly Democratic, so he is the expected nominee to make it to Washington. We're live in Hartford. Erin Coogan, Fox 61.
All right, thanks, Aaron. We'll check back in with you a bit later on this morning. Now, another big race we've watched closely is the Democratic nomination for governor.
Yeah, no surprise for many that Governor Lamont defeated State Representative Josh Elliott. Lamont secured the victory with 67% of the vote, so he's going to go on to face Republican challenger Ryan Fazio.
All right, let's check in with Fox 61's Stephen Reels now. He's right outside the state capitol here in Hartford with a recap of what Governor Lamont and State Rep Josh Elliott had to say about this. Stephen.
Hey, it really was a landslide victory, like you were saying a little bit earlier, with Lamont coming out on top. And according to those early voting numbers we got, Lamont had more than double the votes of Elliott, going from 125,000 for Lamont to just under 60,000 for Elliott. But if he can keep up this momentum, Lamont may secure his 3rd term as governor, and that's something that hasn't been done in more than 20 years here in Connecticut. But from the jump, this was something to keep an eye on. The AP called this vote for Lamont just 20 minutes after the polls had closed. Lamont sets his sight now on finishing the work he says he started for the state's economic future, and improvements that include to Connecticut's education, housing, and health care. Following the results, we heard from both Lamont and Elliott, the latter of whom has already put his support behind his former opponent in the Democratic primaries.
If there is a takeaway that I want the state to understand, it's that we have to be fighting for more. We're one of the wealthiest states in our country, and people are suffering.
It's about opportunity as well. Affordability lets you to get by. Opportunity says, let's get ahead. I want each and every one of you and your kids and your grandchildren to know Connecticut is a state where you can get ahead with opportunity.
And with that primary nomination secure, Lamont's next opponent will be just across the aisle in State Senator Ryan Fazio, new young blood to this race. So that is something we're going to need to keep an eye on as well as we head into November. But for now, live at the state capitol, Stephen Reels, Fox 61.
All right, Stephen, thanks for all the recap there. Of course, we'll have more from you throughout the morning. Appreciate the updates. All right, moving on to the race for the Democratic nomination in State Senate District 2. Representative Miriam Khan defeated Ayanna Taylor, as well as incumbent Douglas McCrory. He was seeking his 6th term. Representative Khan will now face Republican Tim Knotts in November.
There were 2 Republican primaries for congressional seats in our state. In the 4th District, Michael Goldstein defeated Daniel Moresi with 74% of the vote. Goldstein will take on incumbent Democrat Jim Himes in November.
In the 5th District, retired Navy SEAL Chris Shea defeated youth mentor Jonathan DeBarros with 80% of the vote there. Shea is going to run against incumbent Democrat Johanna Hayes.
And now to the Republican primary for State House District 50, where Anthony Emilio defeated party-endorsed candidate Jaden McCormick. Emilio ran for the seat after state GOP leaders asked him to step in and petition after McCormick was called to step down when he made anti-gay comments on social media. Emilio will now face incumbent Democrat Pat Boyd in the general election. Now, in the Republican primary for Senate District 19, party-endorsed candidate Jason Guidon defeated former state rep Mike France with 56% of the vote. Guidon will face Democrat incumbent Kathy Austin for the seat.
And over on the Democratic side, incumbent Jonathan Fazzino defeated challenger Cheshire Town Councilor Jim Jinks with 63% of the vote. Fazzino will now face Republican Elaine Karate to defend his seat. In the Democratic primary for House District 31, party-endorsed candidate Moise Corellis defeated town councilor and Army vet Anthony DeLizia with 68% of the vote there. Corellis will face Republican Susan Dallo in the fall.
And now to the Democratic primary for House District 97, where Hartford City Councilor Wildalise Bermudez is now leading the party-endorsed Leland Moore with 54% of the vote. A winner has not been declared in that race yet, but they will face Republican Kimberly DeMayo in November.
And now to the Democratic primary for House District 118. Party-endorsed candidate and Board of Aldermen member Tony Lombardi defeated Milford Public Works Director Christopher Saley with 72% of the vote. Lombardi will take on Republican Steve Visconti in the election in November.
Now remember, Fox 61 is your home for election coverage. We have all of the key election results scrolling on the bottom of your screen right now. And don't forget, you can also visit our website at fox61.com for a full list of primary race results.
We have a lot more on tap here on Fox 61. Coming up next, Toyota recalling more than 650,000 Camrys worldwide. We'll tell you why a display problem could affect safety features in some of the newer hybrids.
Also ahead, what you buy may not be what you're getting. The food fraud the FDA is watching for and the products that could be affected.